Beloved chosen one, listen carefully because heaven has orchestrated this exact moment. The noise of the world grows louder every December, the glitter of lights, the rushing of crowds, the temporary joy of gifts and songs. But this year, something in your spirit feels different. You can sense it. Heaven has pressed pause on time itself, whispering to your soul, this Christmas is not ordinary. The atmosphere around you carries divine weight. You have felt the pull in your chest, the strange stirring that keeps you awake at night, as if heaven is trying to say, now. This is your confirmation. You are standing in a spiritual intersection where your past pain, your present obedience, and your future purpose converge. This is not coincidence, it is divine design. For years you have walked through shadows, carrying burdens no one else understood. You smiled while breaking inside. You kept faith when you had every reason to quit. You loved when others abandoned you. You prayed when heaven seemed silent. But hear this, not a single tear was wasted. Every ache, every moment of loneliness, every unanswered prayer has been a seed planted in sacred soil. And this Christmas, those seeds are beginning to bloom. Heaven has been writing your story in secret. The years that felt like delay were actually divine development. When you thought nothing was happening, heaven was preparing the stage for your unveiling. You were never forgotten, you were being fortified. You are not overlooked, you are being observed by angels. Chosen one, the shaking in your life was not meant to destroy you, it was meant to separate what cannot enter your next level. God is not punishing you. He is positioning you. That is why old connections fell away, why doors closed, why opportunities disappeared. You are being refined, not rejected. The silence was heaven's strategy to strengthen your discernment. As the world celebrates in temporary lights, you are being ignited by an eternal flame. This is the Christmas where heaven turns its spotlight toward your destiny. Do not underestimate the power of this divine pause. When God halts the noise around you, it means a heavenly announcement is about to be released. In the stillness, you will begin to hear instructions for the next season of your life. What used to confuse you will start to make sense. What once broke you will now empower you. You will begin to see the thread of purpose running through every painful chapter. Every why you whispered into the dark will find its answer in the light of this season. And when the Lord moves, He moves swiftly. There will be no warning, only sudden acceleration. The things that once took years will happen in days. The favor that was delayed will now overtake you. Divine timing is catching up with you, and heaven is aligning everything for your elevation. Beloved, take a deep breath right now. Feel the shift in the air. The presence of God surrounds you as you read these words. Heaven is calling your name. You have not missed your moment, you were being prepared for it. This Christmas marks your prophetic beginning, the launch of what heaven has been building in silence. Something ancient stirs within you, a quiet strength that has waited patiently beneath the weight of battles. You can feel heaven's current pulling you forward, beyond the boundaries of fear and doubt. This is not the end of your story. It is the awakening of everything you were created to be. Even the atmosphere responds when a chosen one rises. Watch as peace replaces chaos, as favor replaces fatigue. The very ground beneath you shifts in reverence to the divine purpose taking root in your life. You are not who you were last year. Heaven has redefined you completely. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope. Those words were not written for someone else. They were written for you. Heaven's blueprint has always been for your restoration, your rising, your redemption. Every delay was divine protection. Every setback was sacred redirection. The plan has not changed, only your understanding of it. Chosen one, heaven is stirring you to respond. This is your moment to act. Don't dismiss this as another motivational message. This is divine confirmation. Heaven is watching to see who will acknowledge the call. If your spirit feels the truth of this word, declare it publicly, like this message is your statement of faith. Share it so another soul who feels forgotten might remember they are chosen. And comment your prophetic number below 77 as a sign that you are stepping into your next level. Finally, subscribe and stay connected, because this flow of divine revelation will continue. Your journey is not over, it is just beginning. The heavens have paused, the angels have gathered, and the King has spoken. The time has come. Now rise, chosen one, the story shifts here. You have walked through seasons of silence, chosen one. Years when the heavens felt closed, when every prayer seemed to echo into emptiness. You wondered if God had forgotten your name, if the promises you once clung to had somehow expired. But the truth is far from that. Heaven was not ignoring you. It was instructing you through quietness. The hidden years were never wasted. They were preparation, not punishment. Every unanswered question, every slow sunrise after a night of tears was shaping your spirit for strength. When others saw stillness, heaven saw construction. You were being built from the inside out. The silence was your classroom and pain was your teacher. You learned endurance when others quit. You learned to pray without applause. You learned to love without recognition. These are not small lessons. They are the foundation of greatness. Heaven only trusts those who have learned to stand when nothing makes sense. And you, chosen one, have proven that you can stand. There were moments you wanted to walk away, to bury your faith, to surrender your hope. But something deep within you refused. That was not your own strength. That was divine preservation. God's hand was on you even when you couldn't feel it. The quiet was not abandonment, it was alignment. Think of how seeds work. They must be buried before they break open, hidden in darkness, unseen by the world. They appear forgotten. But in that hidden place, life begins. You, too, have been buried, but not for death, for growth. The soil of obscurity was necessary for your roots to go deep. Without it, you would not survive the winds that are coming to lift you higher. Do not resent the silence, it is sacred. Heaven's greatest work often happens away from human eyes. The prophets of old, the kings anointed in secret, the messengers prepared in wilderness, all endured silence before revelation. What you call isolation, heaven calls incubation. Beloved, the pain of being unseen has been part of your purification. God has been removing the need for external validation. You are being taught to draw from the inner well of divine approval, not the applause of people. That is why doors closed without explanation, why people drifted away, why your efforts seemed unrewarded. Heaven was cutting off every source that could take credit for what God is about to do. When the unveiling comes, and it will, you will know it was never your doing. The very silence that frustrated you will become your testimony. You will look back and say, if I had been seen too soon, I would have been destroyed by exposure. The hiding has preserved your holiness. The waiting has protected your anointing. We are reminded through the writings of the Apostle Peter in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 10. And after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. These words are not poetic comfort. They are spiritual law. Suffering is the threshold of strength. Pain is the price of permanence. Restoration always follows resistance. Heaven cannot establish what has not been tested, and your testing has proven you trustworthy. Chosen one, you are entering the after of that verse. You have suffered a little while, but now the restoring begins. What was taken will be returned multiplied. The brokenness that once defined you will become the doorway through which others find healing. The areas where you were wounded will become wells of wisdom for those who come after you. Heaven's training never wastes anything. Even your mistakes, your detours, your tears, they all serve the divine blueprint. You are being sculpted into someone who can carry weight without collapsing, who can walk through storms without losing peace. This is why your silent years mattered. God was not hiding from you. He was hiding you until you could carry the promise properly. Now the fragrance of your obedience rises before heaven. The angels remember your endurance. The records of your perseverance are written in light. Every yes you whispered in private has echoed through eternity. That is why the darkness had to last so long. It was heaven proving the depth of your devotion. The Spirit says, your season of silence has accomplished its purpose. The pressure has produced purity. The isolation has produced identity. The hiddenness has produced holiness. You are not who you were when this began. The storms did not destroy you, they clarified you. You no longer need validation from the world, because you have heard heaven's approval in the quiet. Chosen one, learn to cherish the stillness even as the next chapter unfolds. Do not rush the revelation. Move with the rhythm of heaven, not the impatience of the crowd. The same God who hid you will reveal you when the time is right, and when He does, the world will not just see you, they will see Him through you. Take comfort tonight. The silence was never empty, it was full of divine whispers. Heaven was speaking the language of preparation, and your spirit learned to listen. You are no longer the person who doubted, who wavered, who feared. You are the one who endured the silence and found strength in surrender. The waiting was your altar, the quiet was your consecration, and now the promise begins to unfold. Chosen one, the fire you have walked through was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal what cannot be burned. You have faced trials that stripped away illusions, losses that exposed truth, and heartbreaks that shattered false attachments. Yet here you are, still standing, still shining, still chosen. That is the miracle of endurance. The flames were fierce, yes. The nights long, yes. But the fire did something that comfort never could. It purified you. It burned away the need to please people. It melted the chains of fear. It refined your motives until only authenticity remained. You no longer move from insecurity but from identity. The pain has produced purity, and the purity has produced power. You are marked by fire, not by failure. The scars you carry are not evidence of defeat. They are proof that you survived what others could not. Heaven looks at you and calls you tested, trusted, and transformed. Every scar glows with divine authority because it tells the story of a battle won. There is something sacred about the fire. It exposes who you are and what you carry. When you walked through those seasons of trial, you discovered what was real. You learned that God was not fragile, that faith was not fantasy, and that purpose was not negotiable. The fire showed you that your value does not diminish when circumstances darken. It only becomes more visible. Many ran from you when the flames rose. They couldn't handle the heat surrounding your transformation. But heaven stayed. The same God who allowed the trial also stood within it with you. When you thought you were alone, He was there in the midst of the flames, refining rather than rejecting you. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 2. when you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. Chosen one, stop calling what hurt you a failure. Start calling it fire training. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every setback was the forge that shaped your spirit for the next level. You could not stay in comfort and carry this level of calling. The ones who mocked you did not understand that you were being molded into a weapon of light. You have been refined for revelation. The way you speak, think, and see has changed. You no longer crave validation from broken voices. You no longer fear being misunderstood. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You have become bold, resilient, and radiant. The fire has burned away everything false, leaving only truth and tenacity. Your resilience terrifies darkness. That is why attacks increased before your breakthrough, because the enemy sensed what heaven was birthing through the blaze. You are no longer just surviving. You are carrying spiritual voltage that can ignite others. Your presence now shifts atmospheres, not because of perfection, but because of purification. And when you step into rooms, demons remember the flames that once surrounded you. You are a walking reminder that hell failed. You are living evidence that divine protection is stronger than any curse, that faith can outlast any storm, and that God always brings beauty out of ashes. Chosen one, lift your eyes. The horizon glows with promise. You have walked through what others feared to face, and heaven has marked you with resilience. The fire did not disfigure you, it decorated you. What the enemy used to shame you, God now uses to crown you. You are being elevated not because you escaped the fire, but because you endured it. Now, as you stand here stronger, wiser, bolder, heaven whispers you carry the flame of awakening. The same fire that once tested you now radiates through you. You are no longer a victim of heat, you are a vessel of holiness. Look at your scars one more time. Don't hide them. Don't rush to cover what God intends to display. Those marks are your ministry. They tell the world, I've been through fire, and I did not burn. The glow you carry now is the reflection of divine resilience. And if your heart recognizes this truth, let your spirit respond. Type the words "I rise again" in the comments below. That declaration is not just text, it's testimony. When you write it, you are proclaiming that the fire failed, that grace prevailed, and that your rising is unstoppable. Every time you declare it, heaven records it as covenant language, because this moment is not just reflection, it's activation. As you acknowledge your survival, new strength begins to flow. Chains of regret fall away. Memories lose their sting. Your heart opens wider to the purpose that pain has produced. Chosen one, this is not the end of your journey through the flames, it's the revelation that you were never consumed. You were transformed. You were reborn through resistance. You are now a carrier of divine fire, steady, pure, and eternal. Let your life testify that God wastes nothing, not even the heat that once surrounded your soul. Chosen one, you have felt the ache of separation. It has followed you quietly, like a shadow that stretches further with each step toward destiny. The faces that once walked beside you have faded. The voices that once spoke comfort now echo in distance. You have wondered if you did something wrong, if perhaps you loved too deeply, trusted too freely, or believed too innocently. But this is not punishment. This is divine pruning. Heaven has a way of removing what cannot grow with you. You see, elevation always requires separation. The higher you go, the fewer can accompany you, because not every heart can breathe the thin air of spiritual altitude. What you call loneliness is often heaven's way of clearing the noise so you can hear your next instruction. The silence of empty spaces is not abandonment. It is alignment. When God is preparing to elevate someone, He begins by creating distance. People who once seemed essential suddenly withdraw. Environments that once felt safe become uncomfortable. Paths that once brought joy no longer carry peace. It's heaven's signal that your time there has expired. You can't carry old conversations into new dimensions. You can't mix divine oil with familiar dust. Chosen one, understand this: the separation is protection. If everyone had stayed, you would still be trying to please what no longer fits your spirit. You would still be explaining what no longer requires explanation. God saw what you could not, that some people were only attached to your potential, not your purpose. They celebrated the idea of you but could not sustain the reality of your calling. It hurts, yes, losing people always does. You shared dreams with them, laughter, tears, and secrets. You believed they were part of the forever chapters, but heaven wrote them only for a season. Let them go with peace. The pruning may feel like subtraction, but it is actually multiplication by divine mathematics. Every departure creates space for the next divine connection. Every closed door redirects your steps toward the one that was built specifically for you. There is a reason the Lord separated Abram from his homeland before calling him Abraham, father of nations. Separation precedes revelation. God removes the familiar so that faith can lead the way. When the crowd disperses, your spirit learns to recognize the voice of God without interference. That's when destiny begins to speak clearly. You are not cursed for being alone, you are being consecrated. You are learning to draw strength from solitude. Heaven does its deepest work when no one is watching. In isolation, you discover that divine companionship never leaves. The Holy Spirit has been your closest friend all along. Every sigh, every tear, every silent night He was there, interpreting your pain into prayer. The separation season also teaches discernment. Not everyone who smiles carries sincerity, and not everyone who praises you wishes you well. But you have learned this without bitterness. The fire of disappointment purified your perception. You now recognize that boundaries are holy, that protecting your peace is not pride but stewardship, as the apostle wrote in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 17. Come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord, and touch no unclean thing, and I will receive you. Those words are not about rejection, they are about refinement. To be chosen is to be different. You cannot blend where you were called to build. The call of heaven has always separated the marked from the multitude. You are not better than others, but you are set apart for something greater than comfort. Chosen one, you are being positioned for purity of purpose. The people who remain in your life after this pruning will not drain you. They will discern you. They will recognize your light without competing with it. You will no longer have to chase connection. Divine alignment will chase you. The solitude that once frightened you will become your sanctuary. You will look back and realize that being alone was never about being unloved, it was about being unlearned from the world. In that space, heaven was rewriting your identity. You were shedding layers of who the world said you were so that you could finally stand as who God designed you to be. The ache of separation is temporary, but the strength it births is eternal. Soon, you will thank God for every closed door, for every silence that saved you, for every departure that directed you. You will see that loss was not loss, it was liberation. Let peace settle in your spirit now. The people who are meant to walk with you will find you in the light of purpose. You don't have to reach back or chase. The same God who removed will also restore. But this time, the connections will carry covenant. Chosen one, Breathe deeply and release the weight of what's gone. Heaven never takes without intention. You are lighter now, freer now, clearer now, and clarity is the birthplace of destiny. Walk forward not with bitterness, but with blessing. The pruning has passed. The purpose remains. Chosen one. The air itself feels different now. The silence that once wrapped around you like a cloak has shifted. Something alive hums beneath the surface of your days. It is the sound of acceleration. What felt stuck, delayed, and forgotten is stirring again. Heaven is moving at a speed your mind can barely comprehend, and the currents of divine timing are sweeping you forward. For so long, it seemed like the world was running ahead of you. You watched others cross finish lines while you stood at the starting gate with weary feet. But heaven has its own rhythm. And now, suddenly, everything that once crawled begins to run. Every prayer that seemed unanswered is being gathered into a single moment of fulfillment. Every door that stayed closed now opens not because you pushed harder, but because heaven turned the key. You may not feel ready, but readiness is not a feeling, it is a revelation. The anointing you carry has matured in silence, and now the fruit of your waiting ripens under the warmth of divine timing. Chosen one. Heaven is accelerating your destiny, and this time the movement will not be small or hidden. It will be visible, it will be public, and it will be unstoppable. Acceleration is not chaos, it is orchestration. God is conducting your story like a symphony, every rest, every pause, every quiet note now building toward crescendo. You have walked through verses of patience, but this is the chorus of manifestation. You will look around and realize that everything began to bloom at once, as if heaven whispered to your life, "Now." Do not fear the speed of it. Acceleration does not mean loss of control. It means divine alignment. It means that everything, your gifts, your preparation, your faith, your pain finally agrees with heaven's timing. You have reached the intersection where obedience meets opportunity. We are reminded through the writings of the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 60, verse 22, "I am the Lord. In its time I will hasten it." Those words are the heartbeat of this moment. You waited when others ran ahead, and because you waited, you will now move faster with less effort. Heaven is redeeming lost time. Every delay you endured is becoming acceleration fuel. But as you step into this new velocity, remember, speed is not for spectacle. It is for stewardship. The blessings rushing toward you are not random rewards. They are resources entrusted to a faithful heart. What you do with them will echo in eternity. Chosen one. Think of it like a river. When a river quickens, it does not lose direction. It follows the course set by the Creator. The current that pulls you forward is not reckless. It is divine. Let it carry you without fear. Let it wash away the residue of delay. Let it lift you beyond your own striving. You will notice people drawn to your light in this season. Opportunities will appear. Doors will open. Voices will affirm what heaven already spoke over you. But hold humility close. Remember how long you prayed for this, how faithfully you waited. Every blessing must return as worship, not pride. And when your hands begin to overflow, when doors open, when provision multiplies, keep your heart aligned with heaven's generosity. There are souls waiting on the other side of your obedience. What God gives you now is not just for comfort. It is for kingdom construction. If this message speaks to your spirit, pause for a moment of gratitude. Let your heart whisper a prayer of thanks for every slow season that shaped your strength. Let your eyes see how divine timing has always been protecting you. And if you feel led, help this light travel further. Like this message as a simple amen of agreement. Share it because you never know whose midnight you might interrupt with hope. Subscribe if you haven't yet, not for numbers, but to stay connected to this current of divine words flowing into your life. For those who feel a stirring to give, to sow into the soil of this ministry, let it come from love, not obligation. Picture your giving as planting a seed beside a river that never runs dry. Every gift, no matter the size, becomes part of the stream that carries hope to countless hearts. Heaven never forgets a seed sown in faith. You are part of something larger than a message. You are part of a movement of awakening. Each click, each word, each act of generosity keeps the light burning brighter, reaching further, touching lives you may never meet on this side of eternity. Acceleration is not just happening to you, it's happening through you. You are not merely a receiver of miracles, you are a carrier of them. Every time you speak encouragement, every time you give with sincerity, every time you share light, heaven multiplies it through you. Chosen one, step boldly into the current. The river is rising and it carries your name. The time you thought you lost is being returned sevenfold. Heaven's hands are guiding you, speeding you, strengthening you. You are not late, you are right on time. This is not the end of waiting. It is the birth of movement. Everything begins to accelerate from here. Something is shifting in the air around you. Chosen one. It is subtle but undeniable, the feeling that something invisible has moved into place. Heaven is arranging the final pieces of what you have prayed for, and even though your natural eyes cannot yet see it, your spirit can already sense it. December is no longer just another month on the calendar. It has become a sacred doorway. This is the holy shift, the kind that happens not outside of you, but within you. The kind that rearranges priorities, restores focus, and revives the fire that silence tried to smother. Heaven is not only preparing circumstances, it is preparing you. Every thought, every emotion, every dream is being recalibrated to match the rhythm of divine order. You may feel restless, as though something inside is stretching, longing for more. That is not frustration, it's expansion. The wineskin of your old self can no longer contain what God is about to pour in. You are being stretched not to break, but to make room for abundance. The discomfort you feel is proof that new capacity is forming. In moments like this, it may seem as though everything is unstable. Finances fluctuate, people act unpredictably, opportunities appear and disappear in a breath. But heaven wants you to know the shaking is not destruction. It is realignment. God shakes what can be shaken so that what is eternal may remain. Everything that is falling away was never meant to stay. As the prophet Isaiah wrote, chapter 43, verse 19. Behold, I am doing a new thing, now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. This is the verse that defines your December. You are standing on holy ground, the threshold between what was and what will be. The wilderness of confusion is turning into a path of clarity. The desert of delay is beginning to flow with streams of divine provision. God is not asking you to understand the process, He is asking you to trust it. Chosen one, this holy shift means heaven is close. Angels are moving in silence, positioning people, preparing doors, redirecting timelines. The conversations that will change your life are already scheduled in heaven's calendar. You are being placed in rooms you did not know existed. Even when you cannot see it, favor is walking ahead of you, preparing a seat with your name on it. So do not let fear interpret the unfamiliar. The unknown is not your enemy, it is the canvas where miracles are painted. This month, when you feel the urge to worry, pause and remember, this is not chaos. This is construction. Heaven is building what you prayed for. Sometimes the shift doesn't announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives like dawn, quiet, gradual, but unstoppable. One morning, you will wake up and realize the heaviness is gone. The doors that were shut are open. The things that didn't make sense now form a pattern of purpose. The light that once flickered faintly within you now burns steady and strong. Let your heart be still. Let your spirit stay sensitive. Do not resist the transformation simply because it feels unfamiliar. Caterpillars do not understand the cocoon, yet it is the only place where wings are born. You are not losing control, you are learning surrender. This December, heaven is not asking you to chase anything. It is asking you to align, to stand still and let the current of divine timing carry you into the new. You have prayed, you have waited, and now you are being repositioned. Your obedience has attracted acceleration. Chosen one. Take a moment to breathe deeply. Feel that the air feels heavier because it carries promise. The ground beneath your feet trembles because it recognizes the weight of your destiny. You are walking into the most prophetic month of your life, not because of tradition, but because of transition. This holy shift is personal. It is happening in your thoughts, in your relationships, in your finances, in your identity. You are becoming who heaven saw before the foundation of the world. The next version of you is not coming, it's awakening. And when you sense this stirring, when you feel heaven's movement wrapping around you, don't just watch in silence. Participate in the prophecy. Declare your agreement with what God is doing. Write it into existence with faith. If your spirit feels this shift, comment the number 888 below. That number represents new beginnings multiplied, an overflow of creation, a triple confirmation that the new has begun. When you type it, let it be more than numbers. Let it be a declaration. Let heaven read it as your yes to divine change. This is your holy December, the month when what was hidden begins to manifest, when what was silent begins to speak. Everything inside you and around you is aligning with heaven's new rhythm. Stay open. Stay ready. The shift is not coming, it is here. Chosen one. The world around you glitters with temporary light. Streets are strung with decorations. Windows shimmer with reflections. And laughter floats through the cold air. But deep within your spirit, another kind of light begins to rise, one that doesn't fade when the season ends. The world celebrates what can be seen. Heaven celebrates what is being ignited within you, while others are drawn to the sparkle of the external. You are awakening to the fire of the eternal. You can feel it burning beneath your skin, an inner glow that no darkness can extinguish. This is not the light of circumstance or comfort. This is the light of calling. It burns quietly, steadily, reminding you that you were never meant to blend into the crowd. You were meant to illuminate it. There were nights when you felt invisible, when the shadows seemed to consume every bit of hope you had left. You questioned if your presence made any difference in a world so loud, so distracted, so unaware. But God saw you in those moments. He saw the tears that never made a sound. He saw the nights when your faith flickered but never died. And heaven whispered, "This one carries light." That light within you was not borrowed, it was placed there, before the foundation of the world. When heaven spoke creation into being, your light was named. It was chosen to shine during the darkest seasons of humanity. That is why you often feel out of place among those who love the shadows. You carry something they can't understand until they see it. Do not despise your glow, even when others pretend not to notice it. Your light exposes what they are not ready to confront. Your presence reminds them of possibilities they've abandoned. Some will be drawn to your glow. Others will recoil, but none will remain unaffected. The light within you demands attention, not because you seek it, but because truth always confronts darkness. We are reminded through the words of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. These are not poetic suggestions, they are declarations of identity. You are not trying to be light. You are light. Even when you doubt, even when you stumble, the glow remains. You were not created to be invisible. You were created to be undeniable. Chosen one. The world needs what you carry. In an age of noise, your clarity is a miracle. In a culture of fear, your peace is a weapon. In a time when hearts grow cold, your compassion burns like a hearth. Every act of kindness you release, every prayer you whisper, every truth you speak adds oxygen to the fire of heaven burning within you. There is a reason the darkness tried to extinguish your joy, your creativity, your confidence. The enemy never attacks what has no power. The resistance you faced was not proof of weakness, it was confirmation of light. Hell doesn't fear talent, it fears illumination. When you rise in light, you reveal the schemes of darkness. That is why your endurance matters so much. Do not underestimate small sparks. A single flame can chase away 1,000 shadows. Every time you forgive and you shine. Every time you choose faith over fear, you shine. Every time you keep believing despite disappointment, you shine. The world might not see it immediately, but heaven watches the glow intensify. There will come a time when you understand that your light is not only for survival, it is for guidance. Others are wandering through valleys you once walked through. They will find their way because you refuse to let your fire die. Your endurance becomes their map. Your story becomes their lantern. Chosen one, never apologize for burning brightly. You are not too intense, you are necessary. You were sent to ignite hearts grown cold, to awaken faith buried under cynicism, to bring warmth to souls frozen by fear. Every light bearer feels misunderstood before being celebrated. That misunderstanding is the mark of authenticity. The lights that the world strings across rooftops will soon fade, their brilliance gone with the turning of the calendar. But the flame in your spirit will not dim, it will grow. The more you surrender, the more it burns. The more you love, the more it glows. The more you trust, the more heaven breathes upon it. Guard your flame. Feed it with prayer, with silence, with truth, and don't let the noise of comparison smother what God Himself ignited. Remember, cities on hills were not built for comfort. They were built for visibility. And you, chosen one, are being elevated not for your glory, but for His. Let your light remain steady through the night. For dawn is near, and the world will soon see what heaven has always known. You were born to shine. Chosen one. Do you hear it, the faint echo rising in the distance? It is not the sound of celebration or applause, but the cry of destiny stirring through wilderness air. You have been hidden, but your voice is being summoned. There comes a time in every divine journey when silence must give birth to sound, and that moment has arrived for you. The wilderness you've walked through was never meant to break you. It was meant to shape your sound. Every hardship has deepened your resonance. Every lonely night has expanded your compassion. Every battle has carved conviction into your words. You have been refined, not silenced. What you carry now is not noise, it is a message that burns with heaven's fire. For too long, you have underestimated your own voice. You have believed that your words were too small, too simple, too ordinary to matter. But heaven says otherwise. When God places a message inside you, it is never about volume, it's about vibration. Even a whisper from a chosen soul can ripple through generations. You are not just meant to speak, you are meant to awaken. The prophets of old often came from wildernesses, deserts, caves, lonely hillsides where they wrestled with silence until they could hear heaven clearly. That is where you've been. The wilderness stripped away the noise of others' expectations so that you could hear the still, unmistakable tone of your own anointing. You no longer echo the world. You carry heaven's frequency, and when that frequency is released, it changes everything. You will open your mouth and watch truth pierce through confusion. You will speak peace, and storms will settle. You will declare hope, and weary hearts will remember how to breathe again. Your voice is not a random sound, it is a weapon, a healing balm, a trumpet for divine awakening. We are reminded in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 1, verse 3, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, "Prepare the way of the Lord, make his paths straight." This ancient verse does not belong only to John the Baptist, it belongs to every soul chosen to awaken others. The wilderness has trained you for this. You were never meant to remain silent there. You were meant to emerge carrying the tone of heaven. Chosen one, understand this: your voice carries authority not because of who you are, but because of who sent you. Heaven backs every word that rises from obedience. When you speak truth, angels move. When you declare freedom, chains begin to crack. When you release encouragement, despair starts to crumble. That is why darkness worked so hard to silence you. It feared what your sound would set free. You may not speak from pulpits or platforms. Your voice may rise in quiet conversations, in written words, in songs, in acts of compassion, in prayers whispered in secret. But every expression of truth is sacred. Every genuine sound that carries light becomes part of heaven's chorus on earth. The time for hesitation is over. The voice that once trembled must now rise. You don't need permission to speak what heaven has shown you. You don't need to wait until you feel perfect. The world does not need polished phrases, it needs pure truth. It needs the kind of authenticity that breaks through illusions and awakens souls to remember who they are. Chosen one, you are not called to echo what has already been said. You are called to reveal what heaven is saying now. The wilderness has given you a vocabulary of endurance, a language of hope that only those who have suffered can speak fluently. Use it. Speak from your scars, not your fear. Let your testimony become a trumpet that announces transformation. The world is drowning in noise, but silence still obeys authority. When you speak from the place of divine alignment, even chaos listens. Your words will not be many, but they will be mighty. They will carry weight because they carry truth. Do not measure your worth by the volume of your audience. One word, spoken in obedience, can shift a generation. One sentence, released in divine timing, can open a heart. You have no idea how far your voice will travel once it leaves your lips. Heaven will carry it to places your feet will never walk. Remember, every wilderness produces a messenger. Every silence conceives a sound. Every hidden life, when surrendered, becomes a vessel of revelation. You are not here to blend into the background, you are here to herald light. Chosen one, stand tall even if your surroundings are barren. Lift your voice even if no one seems to listen. Heaven is your first audience. Speak as if eternity itself leans in to hear, because it does. The wilderness is no longer your cage, it has become your cathedral. And from that sacred ground, your voice will rise like a trumpet that refuses to be muted. Chosen one. The temptation to turn back will come when you are closest to breakthrough. It will whisper in your ear with the softness of nostalgia, reminding you of old comforts, familiar faces, and predictable patterns. The wilderness has been long, the journey has been hard, and the thought of returning to what you once knew can feel almost peaceful. But hear this clearly, peace is not the same as safety, and comfort is not the same as calling. You cannot go back to Egypt, the land of your old life, the habits that numbed you, the people who misunderstood you. Those were never meant to hold the version of you that heaven is birthing now. You have outgrown the cage that once felt like home. The door has been opened, the chains have been broken, and the voice of destiny now calls you forward. Egypt is a place of memory, but not of destiny. It represents the familiar patterns that tried to convince you that captivity was easier than freedom. There will always be moments when your mind romanticizes the past, painting the wilderness as unbearable. But the truth is this: you are not dying in transition. You are being delivered. When you follow divine direction, the path rarely feels comfortable. It will test your patience, challenge your faith, and stretch your capacity for trust. But heaven never leads backward. Every divine command moves you closer to purpose, even when the scenery looks uncertain. Do you remember how long you prayed for change? How often you asked God to pull you out of cycles that drained your spirit now that the exit is open? Do not let fear guide your steps back to what once broke you. The comfort of bondage is not worth the cost of destiny. Sometimes your spirit trembles, not because it is weak, but because it recognizes the weight of freedom. You are stepping into territory unmarked by routine, led only by faith. The trembling is holy. It means you are walking without relying on old crutches. Each uncertain step is an act of worship, each breath an anthem of trust. And remember this every time you choose obedience over nostalgia. Heaven rejoices. Angels stand witness as you break generational cycles with one small step of faith. You are rewriting stories that once ended in fear and turning them into testimonies of courage. You are not leaving something behind, you are carrying light forward. The Apostle Paul wrote with divine clarity in his letter to the Romans, chapter 12, verse 2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. This is your reminder that transformation requires letting go. Renewal cannot happen while you're clinging to what has expired. The world will always try to pull you back into its rhythm of noise and distraction, but heaven's rhythm beats differently. It calls you into surrender. Chosen one, the pull of the past is strongest when your promise is closest. The enemy will never tempt you with what you've already overcome. He tempts you with what you secretly miss. But what you miss is not real, it is a shadow. The past cannot sustain the fire that now burns within you. There will be people who invite you back into cycles you prayed your way out of. They will say, "You've changed," as though that's an insult. Let them. Growth will always look like betrayal to those who benefit from your stagnation. Do not apologize for evolving. You are not arrogant for moving on, you are obedient for moving forward. God's path will require separation, and separation will require strength. But the same power that parted the Red Sea still goes before you. You don't need to figure out how the path will open, just keep walking. Obedience creates the miracle. Sometimes, the greatest act of faith is not running, it's refusing to retreat. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a declaration that Egypt no longer owns you. You are walking toward promise, even if your feet tremble. You are choosing freedom over familiarity, calling over comfort, purpose over popularity. Chosen one, listen carefully. The enemy cannot stop you, but he will try to distract you. He will use memories, voices, or even fatigue to convince you that nothing ahead could be better than what's behind. But your spirit knows the truth. You were not designed to repeat. You were created to rise. Every time you refuse to turn back, heaven records it as victory. Every act of obedience builds momentum in the unseen. The walls of limitation begin to crack, and the breath of new beginnings fills your lungs again. And now, if your spirit resonates with this truth, if something deep inside you knows you cannot go back, let your declaration be known. Type these words in the comments below. I move forward. This is not just a phrase, it is a spiritual decree. When you write it, you are aligning your life with heaven's direction. You are testifying that the wilderness did not break you. It built you. That the fire did not consume you. It purified you. And that your eyes are now fixed not on what was, but on what is becoming. Chosen one, forward is your only language now. The past has no power except the wisdom it left behind. The path before you glows with divine promise. You are walking toward new territory, new strength, and new revelation. The wind behind you is not chasing, it's carrying. Step forward and do not look back. Chosen one. What heaven has been crafting in secret is now nearing completion. You may not feel it yet, but you are standing in a sacred moment between concealment and coronation. While the world saw silence, heaven saw strategy. Every hidden season has been building to this unveiling, and anointing placed upon you in secret now being recognized in the open. You see, crowns are not handed to those who crave attention. They are placed on those who endured obscurity with faith. The oil that rests upon you is not the oil of convenience, it is the oil of cost. It carries the scent of prayers whispered in the dark, the fragrance of obedience offered in isolation. When heaven crowns, it does not consult the applause of people. It crowns according to endurance, purity, and humility. This moment feels strange, doesn't it? Part of you wants to hide again. After years of rejection, the light of visibility can feel overwhelming. But this time is different. You are not stepping into the spotlight for your own glory. You are stepping into it as a reflection of God's glory. The stage was never the goal, the obedience was. And now, the light will not expose your weakness. It will reveal His faithfulness. Think of how David was crowned. He was not chosen in a palace, but in a field. He was surrounded not by noblemen, but by sheep. The oil was poured not in front of crowds, but before heaven. You, too, have been crowned in secret. While others doubted your worth, heaven anointed you quietly. And now, the time of unveiling draws near. When heaven crowns a soul, everything changes not just around them, but within them. The way you walk, speak, and see will begin to shift. You will no longer fight for validation because you'll carry divine recognition. You won't chase opportunities, they will chase you. That is the nature of divine favor. It magnetizes what aligns with your calling. We are reminded in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 6. But you, when you pray, go into your room, and when you have shut your door, pray to your Father who is in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. These words are not just a promise. They are a prophecy being fulfilled in you. The Father saw your faith when no one else did. Every time you prayed behind closed doors. Every time you stayed kind when it cost you. Every time you chose integrity over convenience. He took note, and now, heaven's reward will not be hidden. Chosen one, the secret oil that once dripped unseen now begins to glisten. It's not pride that glows on you, it's purpose. You were not made to remain unnoticed forever. Even stars must rise from darkness before they light the sky. And now, your season of rising begins. When the crown comes, stay low. The higher God lifts you, the deeper your roots must grow. The same humility that guarded you in obscurity must protect you in visibility. Let the weight of your crown remind you that leadership is not luxury, it is service. To wear heaven's crown is to carry heaven's compassion. Think of your influence like a lamp. A lamp doesn't demand attention, it simply shines, quietly transforming darkness into direction. That's how heaven wants to use you. Every word you speak, every act of kindness, every expression of truth will become light to someone still searching for hope. And as you carry this light forward, remember that you are part of something larger than yourself. This isn't just about you rising, it's about you lifting others as you go. When you share this message, you are passing the flame of encouragement to hearts that need it. When you support this space by liking, by sharing, by subscribing, you are helping the message reach souls that may never step into a church, but who desperately need to hear heaven's voice. If your heart feels stirred to sow a seed, to give, to become part of this ministry's journey, do it not from pressure, but from partnership. Think of it as placing your own small jewel upon heaven's crown. Every gift becomes light that reaches farther, touches deeper, heals faster. Your generosity keeps the flame alive in corners of the world you may never see, but heaven does. And if all you can give is your prayer, your presence, your share, that is enough. Every act of alignment, no matter how small, builds the bridge between message and miracle. You are not just a listener, you are a builder of light, chosen one. Remember, this crowns are heavy because they are made for service, not decoration. You carry the authority to shift atmospheres, to bring comfort to the weary, to remind the forgotten that they, too, are chosen. Your humility is your armor, your love is your language, and your faith is your throne. As you move into this new chapter, let your steps echo gratitude. Wear your crown not with pride, but with peace. Let the world see in you what heaven has always seen: a soul marked, refined, and ready. And when you lift your head, heaven smiles, for the crown fits. The season has arrived. Chosen one, there is a holy exchange taking place around you, one so subtle that only those who listen with their spirit can perceive it. Heaven is trading the weight of the old for the wonder of the new. The very air you breathe feels different because it carries the fragrance of transformation. This Christmas is not just a celebration of what once happened. It is the living reenactment of divine exchange: ashes for beauty, sorrow for joy, captivity for freedom. You have carried burdens for far too long, some visible, others hidden beneath practiced smiles. You have walked through days where you felt responsible for holding everyone together while quietly falling apart yourself. Heaven has seen every moment of it: the unseen tears, the whispered prayers, the exhausted amens. And now, the Father extends his hand, saying, "Give it to me, all of it." What you are experiencing now is not loss. It is exchange. Heaven never takes without replacing. Every burden you release becomes the soil for blessing. Every tear you surrender becomes the river that waters a new beginning. This divine trade is not fair by human standards, it is drenched in mercy. God takes your pain and gives you peace. He takes your failures and gives you favor. He takes your mourning and gives you meaning. There are spiritual laws at work even when you cannot see them. Just as nature requires the falling of leaves before spring's renewal, the Spirit demands release before resurrection. You cannot carry both the weight of yesterday and the wings of tomorrow. Something must fall for something new to fly. And this season, this holy Christmas, is heaven's reminder that divine exchanges still happen in quiet hearts that dare to let go. We find the promise in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 3. He gives beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified. These words are not distant poetry. They are your living prophecy. The ashes of what you've lost are not the end, they are the beginning of something beautiful. The heaviness you've carried was never meant to be permanent. It was meant to teach you where true strength is found. And now, heaven exchanges your weariness for wonder. Chosen one, picture this divine exchange not as a transaction, but as an embrace. Imagine the Father kneeling before you not as a judge, but as a healer. He lifts the burdens from your shoulders, wipes the dust from your hands, and places upon you a new garment woven from light. It fits perfectly, because it was made for you before time began. You have tried to wear garments of expectation, of guilt, of striving, but none were meant for your spirit. This one is tailored by grace. Every exchange requires trust. To receive what heaven offers, you must release what you hold. That is why some people never experience renewal. They keep their fists closed around what once was. But you, chosen one, are learning to open your hands. You are realizing that surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. What you release does not vanish, it transforms. When you give up control, you gain clarity. When you let go of the past, you make space for the promise. When you stop carrying what was never yours to bear, your shoulders straighten under the weight of purpose instead of pain. This is the miracle of divine exchange. It doesn't just lighten your load, it changes your posture. Look closely at your life. The patterns are shifting. The things that once drained you now fade quietly from view. The relationships that once confused you are being redefined. Even your thoughts are being purified. You are not losing control, you are gaining alignment. This exchange is happening not in thunder or spectacle, but in stillness. You may not feel an explosion of joy, but you will notice a quiet strength rising where sorrow used to dwell. You will wake up one morning and realize that the ache has softened, that peace has taken root, that hope is no longer a theory but a presence. That is how heaven heals gently, completely, eternally. Chosen one, you have entered a season where giving and receiving look different. The world says to hold tighter, but heaven says to open wider. This is the time to unclench your heart, to release control, to believe that the God who gave his Son will withhold no good thing from you. The divine exchange doesn't just restore, it multiplies. When God takes something from your hands, he does not leave them empty. He fills them with abundance that carries eternal weight, the love that replaces loss, the peace that replaces panic, the joy that replaces grief. All of it becomes a testimony written across your life. Do not resist the exchange because it feels unfamiliar. The butterfly cannot mourn the loss of its cocoon. The wings are proof that the transformation was worth the surrender. Likewise, the freedom you are about to experience will make every loss seem light. So let it happen. Chosen one, let heaven trade your ashes for beauty. Let it replace your heaviness with song. Let it crown you with the joy of one who finally understands that the greatest miracles often begin with release. Chosen one, can you feel the atmosphere thickening with presence? It's as though something unseen has entered the room, rearranging the air itself. This is not imagination, it's activation. Heaven's messengers have been dispatched on your behalf. While you've been praying, waiting, and wondering if God still remembers, angels have been moving silently through the corridors of your life. You are not alone in this season. The unseen is working tirelessly for your seen breakthrough. You have survived battles that left no visible scars but deep spiritual fatigue. Yet even when you could not speak a prayer, heaven heard the groaning of your spirit. Every sigh became a signal, every tear a trumpet call. Angels were assigned not because you are weak, but because you are chosen. Heaven never wastes its resources. When divine messengers are released, it means the plan is nearing fulfillment. There are assignments being fulfilled right now that you didn't even know were pending. The protection that stopped the car accident, the opportunity that found you by coincidence, the peace that came unexpectedly in the middle of chaos, those were not random moments. Those were angelic interventions. You walk surrounded by witnesses, warriors, and messengers. You may have thought your prayers vanished into the air, but heaven keeps every word. There are angels whose only task is to carry your petitions into the throne room and return with answers. They move faster than time, operating in the rhythm of obedience. You cannot always see them, but you will see their results: doors opening, favor appearing, provision arriving. We are told in the book of Hebrews, chapter 1, verse 14. Are they not all ministering spirits sent out to serve for the sake of those who are to inherit salvation? Chosen one, you are that inheritance. You are the reason for angelic movement. You are the one heaven has marked for assistance in divine purpose. Even when your faith falters, the order remains active. Angels do not obey your feelings, they obey divine instruction. When God says, protect that one, no darkness can override the decree. Think back over your journey. How many times did disaster nearly strike, but something shifted at the last second? That wasn't luck, that was legislation from heaven. When you pray, you are not whispering into emptiness. You are issuing assignments to the armies of light. Every word of faith you release becomes fuel for the divine. The enemy may roar, but he cannot rewrite God's orders. Angels are not only protectors, they are also carriers of provision. When you thought you had lost every opportunity, heaven sent assistance disguised as people, moments, and ideas. The stranger who encouraged you at the right time, the sudden inspiration that changed your path, the unexpected favor that broke delay, each was a divine delivery through unseen hands. Chosen one. You must learn to recognize movement in the invisible. Sometimes answers come wrapped in stillness. Sometimes protection feels like delay. Heaven's timing is not about speed, it's about precision. The angels that surround you now are adjusting details that must align before your promise manifests. It is like watching stars form constellations, slow at first, until suddenly the pattern is revealed, and you see the purpose in every placement. This season, your role is not to strive, but to stay sensitive. The atmosphere around you is heavy with activity. Your dreams may grow more vivid. Your intuition may sharpen. Your discernment may deepen. That's not your imagination, it's heaven training your senses to perceive divine partnership. The closer the manifestation, the more aware your spirit becomes of angelic movement. But there is one key alignment. Angels respond to obedience. They move where faith moves. They cannot bless what disobeys divine order. That is why you must remain anchored in purity, humility, and gratitude. The atmosphere of worship is their natural language. When you praise, you create pathways for heaven's messengers to operate freely. Sometimes you will feel a sudden peace come over you for no reason. That is an angel standing guard. Sometimes you will wake up with a burden to pray for someone far away. That is an assignment being shared. The divine network never sleeps. Heaven's economy functions through partnership between you, the spirit, and the celestial. You are never fighting alone. Every whisper of despair that says no one sees is a lie. The unseen realm sees everything. The same angels that ministered to Jesus in the wilderness now move at God's command around your life. When exhaustion comes, they strengthen you. When danger nears, they shield you. When doubt rises, they remind you that victory was decided long before the battle began. And if your spirit senses this truth right now, if something within you feels the nearness of heaven, acknowledge it. Type the number 4444 in the comments below. That number represents angelic presence and divine protection, a signal to heaven that you recognize its movement. When you write it, do it with awareness, not superstition. Let it be your sign of agreement with what God is orchestrating behind the scenes. Chosen one, this is not fantasy, it is faith in motion. The unseen is more real than the seen. As you rest tonight, remember that you are surrounded, you are covered, you are carried. Heaven's messengers do not slumber, and their assignment will not fail. Chosen one. The night before breakthrough often feels like the darkest hour. It is that strange space where everything inside you is weary, where faith feels stretched and the promise seems silent. The weight of waiting presses down harder just before it lifts. But what you cannot see is that midnight is not the end, it is the beginning of movement. Heaven often starts miracles in moments that look like endings. You have been through storms that felt endless, the kind of trials that make time feel heavier, that make hope seem far away. You've cried until your body had no strength left, prayed until your voice grew hoarse, and still the walls seemed unmoved. But in the silence of that struggle, heaven was working. The shaking that surrounded you was not destruction. It was the cracking of chains you could not see. There are chains that do not rattle because they are spiritual. Fear that grips the heart, doubt that whispers constantly, patterns that repeat without explanation. These are the unseen prisons of the soul. But tonight, as this season closes, those invisible bonds begin to break. The same God who opened prison doors for Paul and Silas is walking through your midnight now. It is written in the book of Acts, chapter 16, verses 25 to 26. At midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were opened and everyone's chains were loosed. This is not just a story, it is a pattern. Midnight has always been heaven's chosen hour for deliverance. It is the time when human strength fades and divine strength takes over. It is the moment when surrender becomes song, when worship breaks what worry could not. You have prayed long enough for escape. Now heaven is granting release. The sound of your endurance has reached the throne. Every moment you chose faith over fear, every time you praised through pain, every time you refused to quit, those were notes in a symphony that now fills heaven's temple. And heaven responds to sound. Chosen one. This is your midnight earthquake, not of destruction but of deliverance. The ground beneath you is shifting because old structures can no longer contain you. The doors that once refused to open are trembling at the sound of your obedience. The chains that bound your emotions, your confidence, your faith, they are breaking one link at a time. Sometimes deliverance doesn't look like shouting. Sometimes it looks like a quiet release, like the sudden realization that the pain no longer holds power, that the memory no longer burns. Sometimes the miracle is simply peace, steady, unshakable, divine peace where chaos used to reign. That peace is the sound of your chains falling. Midnight is not a curse, it is a crossing. It is the bridge between what was and what will be. You have stood faithfully at the edge, and heaven honors that stand. This is not where your story ends. It is where your story changes tone. Listen to the silence right now. It is not empty. It is sacred. It is filled with the echo of angelic footsteps, the low hum of unseen deliverance. You don't have to force anything. You only need to rest. The chains are already responding to the decree of heaven. Every no you heard this year, every delay, every disappointment, they were the setup for this moment. God was not ignoring your prayers. He was aligning your release with divine timing. When heaven moves, it moves completely. You will not be partially free, you will be entirely restored. Chosen one, remember that the prison could not contain Paul and Silas because worship became their weapon. That same power rests in you. The more you lift your eyes from pain to praise, the more your atmosphere changes. The darkness cannot survive in the sound of gratitude. The enemy cannot inhabit the same space as a heart that sings in surrender. Your deliverance may not look spectacular from the outside, but heaven measures victory differently. Freedom begins in the heart long before it appears in the world. You are already stepping into that freedom. You are already breathing in the fresh air of a new chapter. The midnight chains are not just breaking around you. They are breaking through you. Your release will ripple into the lives of others who are still bound. Your story will become a torch that lights the way for those still trapped in their own nights. The sound of your breakthrough will awaken the sleepers, remind the hopeless, and declare to darkness that heaven always wins. Chosen one, it is almost dawn. The long night has done its work. The trembling you feel is not fear, it is freedom stretching its wings. Rest now, for the battle is shifting. What held you yesterday no longer has the strength to contain you. You are walking out of your midnight and into your morning. The ground beneath you still shakes, not because of chaos, but because chains are still falling. Keep moving forward, head lifted, heart steady. The night has done what it came to do. The door is open now. Walk through. Chosen one. The days before glory often come wrapped in warfare. You have felt it lately, the sudden heaviness, the strange resistance, the unexpected waves of doubt that try to creep back into your spirit. Do not be confused by this pressure. It is not punishment. It is confirmation. The opposition that rises against you now is the final test before your next level. The enemy does not waste energy on what does not threaten him. He has seen what heaven is building through you, and he knows that once you step into full alignment, his influence over that territory will end. That is why the warfare feels so intense. It is strategic. The darkness senses that your light is expanding, and it panics in the presence of what it cannot stop. You may find yourself waking up weary, even when nothing physical has changed. The mind feels crowded with voices of fear, and your confidence begins to tremble. But remember, the greater the anointing, the greater the resistance before it manifests. Every battle around you mirrors the breakthrough being birthed within you. The battlefield is no longer external, it is internal. The real war is fought in the mind, where thoughts become weapons. The enemy knows he cannot steal your calling, so he tries to cloud your confidence. He whispers lies in your own voice, trying to convince you that you're not ready, not chosen, not worthy. But you must remember who spoke first. God's voice declared your purpose long before fear ever tried to interrupt it. The scripture in Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is from me, says the Lord." This verse is more than comfort, it is covenant. The weapons will form, but they will fail. The attacks may arrive, but they will not endure. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are guarded by decree. Heaven has already issued the outcome you win. Chosen one. Understand that warfare is not always loud. Sometimes it hides in subtle distractions, fatigue that keeps you from prayer, overthinking that drowns your peace, unexpected conflict that drains your focus. The enemy is not creative. He repeats patterns, hoping you will forget the power you carry. But this time, you see him clearly. You are no longer reacting, you are reigning. When warfare intensifies, it is a sign that heaven is releasing something new. Pressure produces purity. Conflict clarifies calling. You are learning to fight differently now, not with fear, but with faith. You no longer swing blindly. You stand strategically. You don't chase every disturbance, you discern its origin. That wisdom is your greatest weapon. Remember that battles are not always to destroy you. Sometimes they are to display you. When David faced Goliath, the giant was not an obstacle, it was an announcement. The fight revealed what had been hidden in David all along. Likewise, the struggles surrounding you now are heaven's stage for the strength developed in secret. When you face warfare, your response becomes the sermon. Angels watch your endurance. Darkness studies your calm. Heaven measures victory not by how loudly you fight, but by how firmly you stand. The one who refuses to panic confuses the enemy the most. Chosen one, do not be dismayed if old fears attempt to revisit you. Their appearance does not mean regression, it means graduation. You are revisiting old territories to prove mastery. The temptation that once defeated you now becomes the test that displays your transformation. You no longer need to run from the battlefield, you are the battlefield. Sanctified ground where victory is already written. The final stage before wonder is always war. Even Jesus faced the cross before resurrection. Glory is often preceded by grief, because heaven never allows elevation without purification. Every tear you've shed recently has been washing away the residue of the previous season. You are being refined, not rejected. And in that refining, you will notice something miraculous. Peace remains even when chaos rises. That peace is your confirmation that heaven still governs your story. The enemy can shout, but he cannot shift divine timing. The louder he becomes, the closer you are to stepping into fulfillment. The warfare you face now is not a punishment for who you were. It is preparation for who you are becoming. You are being equipped with resilience that will sustain you through future storms. God is not just giving you victory, He is making you victory. Wherever you go, darkness will lose territory simply because you stand there. The key is endurance. Do not mistake delay for denial. Do not confuse resistance with rejection. The shaking you feel is the sound of old systems collapsing under the weight of new glory. You are stepping into the kind of power that cannot be taught, only forged through battle. Chosen one, hold your position. The final blows of opposition are always the loudest because they are the last. The night before dawn will always look the darkest, but light is already breaking through. Soon, what seemed like warfare will reveal itself as the womb of wonder. A word count 732. Chosen one. The veil is lifting. The seasons of hiddenness and preparation are converging into one radiant unveiling. Heaven is no longer whispering about you in secret, it is proclaiming you in the open. The anointing that once moved quietly through your private prayers now begins to flow publicly through your life. You are stepping into the moment where what was once promised is finally visible. It feels unfamiliar, doesn't it? After years of waiting, of walking faithfully through obscurity, to suddenly feel the eyes of others turning toward you, it can feel both holy and humbling. But this unveiling is not for spectacle, it is for service. God is not displaying you as a trophy, but as a torch. You are the lamp He places upon the table, the city He sets upon the hill, not for vanity, but for visibility. This is the season where the hidden work bears fruit. Every tear you sowed in silence now blooms into testimony. Every yes whispered in faith becomes a door opening wide. The world will see the glow, but only heaven knows the cost behind it. Your unveiling carries the weight of everything you've overcome. That is what gives your presence power, authenticity forged through endurance. Remember, unveiling is not exposure, it is expression. It is heaven saying, "Now they can see what I have always seen." When the curtain lifts, you will not need to perform. You will simply stand in the light of truth, and that light will speak for itself. What once looked like delay will suddenly make sense because the oil you carry now would not have survived premature exposure. In this moment, heaven echoes the promise recorded in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8, verse 17. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. That is the essence of your unveiling. What was hidden for protection is now being revealed for purpose. You are not stepping into fame, you are stepping into fulfillment. The same light that once frightened you now feels like home because it is not the world's spotlight. It is heaven's illumination. Chosen one, the unveiling comes with responsibility. When the light shines, it reveals everything: your gifts, yes, but also your motives. This is why humility must become your anchor. Remember that the higher the mountain, the stronger the wind. As your influence grows, so must your roots of grace. Stay grounded in gratitude, not recognition. Let the applause roll off your shoulders and return it upward as worship. Think of your life as a lighthouse. Its purpose is not to prove its brightness, but to guide ships safely through storms. You are that beacon now. Every word you speak, every act of kindness, every story you share becomes a pulse of light cutting through someone else's night. Some will see it from afar and find direction. Others will draw near and find refuge. That is your ministry, to be light, not noise. And if these words are stirring something in your spirit, pause for a moment. Reflect on how far you've come. Think of every wilderness you survived, every valley you climbed out of, every season that tried to silence you. You are still here not by accident, but by assignment. The unveiling is heaven's reward for your endurance. Now, as this message reaches your heart, consider how you can help this light reach others. Like this message if it resonates with your spirit. It's a simple act, but it tells heaven, I received this word. Share it with someone who needs hope, because you never know whose breakthrough may be waiting behind your obedience. Subscribe if you haven't yet, not as a formality, but as a way to stay connected to the current of revelation flowing through this space. And for those who feel led, consider sowing into this light. Think of it not as a transaction, but as tending a flame. Every gift, financial, prayerful, or even through words of encouragement, keeps the fire burning brighter. It allows this message to travel further, to reach the weary, the forgotten, the hidden chosen ones still waiting to awaken. If you feel something rise in you as you read this, leave a comment below. Write what you've learned, what you've felt, what part of this word spoke deepest to your spirit. Your testimony may be the very spark someone else needs to find their way home. Chosen one, you are not stepping into exposure, you are stepping into expression. Your light is not a performance, it is a promise fulfilled. Walk gently into this unveiling, knowing that the same God who crowned you in secret now reveals you in strength. Let your unveiling be your worship. Let your rise be your offering. Let your life be the proof that what God hides, He also reveals in perfect time. Chosen one, when light begins to rise, it does not rise for itself. The sun does not shine to admire its own glow, it shines to awaken the sleeping earth. In the same way, your elevation is not for applause, but for assignment. The light that burns within you is meant to guide others, to lead, to heal, to ignite faith where despair once lived. You are entering the stage of destiny where your purpose expands beyond you. What began as personal transformation now becomes collective impact. The same God who healed your heart will use your story to heal nations. You have been prepared not just to survive, but to influence. Not through domination, but through illumination. Influence in heaven's kingdom is not about control. It is about clarity. You will bring light into confusion, peace into panic, hope into hopelessness. That is the true leadership of the chosen servanthood through presence. You might not see yourself as a leader. You still feel the residue of your past, the hesitations of old wounds. But heaven sees differently. God never asks for perfection before calling someone. He perfects them through calling. Your imperfections are not disqualifiers. They are reminders that the power comes from Him, not you. The cracks in your soul are where His light shines through. Do you remember how unsure Moses was when called to speak before Pharaoh? How he stuttered, how he doubted, how he begged God to choose someone else. And yet, his obedience freed an entire people. The voice that trembled in fear became the sound that split seas. In the same way, your trembling does not negate your calling, it proves its authenticity. Heaven always uses the humble to confound the proud. We are reminded through the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 12. Then Jesus spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. Those words are not only about Him. They are about what happens when His light abides in you. The glow within you is borrowed from eternity. When you follow His path, you do not just reflect the light, you become a vessel of it. The darkness may surround you, but it cannot remain near you. The light of life pushes back every shadow that once held you captive. Chosen one. Nations do not always mean geographical boundaries. Sometimes a nation is a generation, a group of hearts influenced by your faithfulness. Sometimes it is your family, your community, your workplace. Wherever your light reaches, that place becomes your nation. You are called to bring divine influence there, to carry truth without fear, to love without limit. Your life will become a language heaven uses to communicate with others. When they see your peace amid storms, they will sense something sacred. When they witness your resilience after loss, they will feel hope rekindling in their own hearts. You do not need grand speeches to change lives. Authenticity speaks louder than eloquence. You have already begun to lead without realizing it. Every act of forgiveness has broken invisible chains in others. Every word of encouragement has planted courage in weary souls. Every quiet act of integrity has shifted the atmosphere around you. Leadership in the kingdom rarely looks like command, it looks like compassion. Still, the path of influence carries weight. Light attracts both those who need warmth and those who fear exposure. Some will love you for your glow. Others will resent you for revealing their shadows. Do not take it personally. The same sun that nourishes flowers also melts ice. Your responsibility is not to control reactions, but to remain radiant. Chosen one. Understand that you are part of a divine relay. The torch you carry did not start with you, and it will not end with you. It has passed through generations of faithful hearts, and now it burns in your hands. Your duty is to keep it alive, to pass it forward brighter than you received it. Influence is not ownership, it is stewardship. There will be days when you feel too small for the magnitude of what you're carrying. On those days, remember, it is not your strength that sustains the light, but God's breath. Every time you feel weary, He exhales His grace over you, fanning the flame once more. Soon, you will notice doors opening into unfamiliar territories. Conversations will connect you to people you never expected to meet. You will find yourself speaking words you didn't know you had, offering wisdom you didn't realize was growing within you. That is how divine leadership manifests. It surprises even the vessel. You are stepping into a chapter where your influence will ripple far beyond your reach. The stories of your endurance will inspire faith in places your feet have never walked. Your light will become a compass for many, drawing them out of confusion and into clarity. Chosen one, you were never meant to remain hidden. You were meant to carry light that leads nations not through pride, but through peace, not through pressure, but through presence. Heaven has entrusted you with visibility not to elevate ego, but to magnify truth. Let your words be rivers that refresh, not waves that drown. Let your life be a mirror that reflects grace, not a monument that demands praise. Lead quietly, shine faithfully, love deeply. For this is the mark of true greatness in heaven's eyes, the one who shines not to be seen, but so others might see. Chosen one, the journey has been long, but you can feel it now, the turning of the season, the calm after countless storms, the quiet hum of destiny settling into place. You have fought, waited, endured, and believed through the hardest of nights. And now, heaven whispers the words your heart has longed to hear. It is time. This Christmas does not mark an ending. It marks a beginning. Every wound you have carried, every unanswered question, every moment of silence has brought you here to this sacred threshold where divine timing meets divine transformation. You are stepping into the next level of your calling. And though the path ahead is new, your spirit already recognizes it. You have been prepared for this all along. You may not see fireworks or hear trumpets, but the shift is real. Transformation rarely announces itself loudly. It comes like dawn, soft, steady, inevitable. One morning, you will simply wake and realize the weight has lifted. The fear has lost its grip, and the peace you prayed for has finally taken root. That peace is your new beginning. There is a deep and holy stillness to this kind of change. It is not about striving anymore, it is about surrender. The season of proving yourself is over. The season of simply being who you were created to be has begun. You no longer chase validation. You walk in confirmation. You no longer seek signs. You become one. Everything that once made you feel small was actually training you to handle greatness with grace. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour, each one strengthened muscles you didn't know you were building. Now, when God places weighty assignments in your hands, you will not crumble under them. You will carry them with the quiet authority of one who has been tested and trusted. The next level of your journey will not look like struggle, it will look like flow. You will move with divine ease because you have learned the rhythm of surrender. You know now that obedience is not about control. It is about cooperation with heaven. When God says move, you no longer question, you glide, because trust has replaced resistance. We are reminded through the writings of the Apostle Paul in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has gone, the new has come. Those words are more than theology, they are transformation in motion. You are not simply improved, you are entirely renewed. The old cycles have been broken, the old fears dissolved. What once defined you no longer confines you. Heaven has rewritten your story, and you stand now as living proof that grace is greater than grief, that purpose is stronger than pain. Chosen one, your life is no longer about survival, it is about stewardship. You are now entrusted with influence, with presence, with peace. The new level you are stepping into is not measured by status or recognition, but by depth, by how deeply you love, forgive, and bring light to others. The higher you rise in spirit, the gentler you become. That gentleness is strength refined by fire. This new season will ask less from your hands and more from your heart. You will find yourself drawn to stillness, to authenticity, to simplicity. The noise that once distracted you will lose its power. You will crave quiet conversations with God more than applause from crowds. The fruit of your next level will be peace, peace in decision, peace in direction, peace in destiny. Do not fear the unfamiliar. You have already walked through darkness. Light will not confuse you. The path ahead may be wide and uncertain, but your feet have been anointed for it. You will walk in clarity where others see confusion. You will carry wisdom born from wounds and compassion carved by waiting. The people connected to your next level are already being drawn toward you. You will meet them not by effort, but by alignment. Destiny attracts destiny. Those who are meant to build with you will recognize your spirit long before they know your name. Heaven will make sure of it. Chosen one, stand tall. You have crossed the threshold. The heavens record this moment as a new era. What once seemed far away has arrived. You are not returning to the familiar, you are walking into fulfillment. You are no longer hoping for change. You are living in it. This is the unveiling of your fullness. The version of you that once hesitated has become the version that leads. The one who once questioned now carries answers. The one who once felt forgotten now stands as living testimony that heaven never forgets. So walk forward in peace. The crown rests steady. The oil still glistens. The light within you burns brighter than ever. You have stepped into your next level not by striving, but by surrendering, not by force, but by faith. This Christmas marks not just a season, it marks your divine becoming. Chosen one, if these words have reached your heart, it is not coincidence, it is confirmation. You were meant to hear them at this precise moment, in this exact season. Heaven's timing is flawless, and this message found you because your spirit was ready to rise. You have walked through the shadows and stood at the edge of surrender. Now, light breaks fully across your path. This is your awakening, your turning point, your divine becoming. You are not who you were when this began. You have grown, stretched, and healed in ways even you haven't fully noticed. The strength you carry now was forged in silence. The peace you hold was purchased through surrender, and the faith within you glows brighter than ever before. Heaven looks upon you and calls you ready. If this journey has spoken to your soul, take a moment to seal it with action. Like this message as your declaration that you've received every word meant for you. Share it because someone else is still wandering in their night, waiting for the sound of hope that you now carry. Leave a comment below. Share what resonated, what awakened, what changed. Your words could be the spark that reignites another soul's faith. And if you haven't yet, subscribe not just to a channel, but to this movement of light, purpose, and divine transformation. Stay connected, because what heaven has begun here will continue to unfold, message by message, moment by moment. Chosen one, as this chapter closes, lift your eyes, and the story doesn't end here, it expands. You walk forward crowned in purpose, wrapped in grace, and fueled by faith. The time has come. The world is waiting for your light.